Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you joined HerTime. This episode is really special to us, so I'm glad that we get the opportunity to have a conversation, specifically in this month of Women's History. And we're here, as you can see, we are all wearing our pink just to honor Women's Month today. Different hues of pink, but they're all pink based. As a special honor to you as a woman, to ourselves, each of us as women. So we thank you for joining us today. And we hope that this episode will, as I said a second ago, will encourage you. But we also would like it to encourage you to initiate conversations with your friends, old ones, as well as new friends, new relationships you may have. Let me make sure that at the outset, I share our email address, which is hertimefortalk@gmail.com. HerTime, all lowercase, there I go choking up. HerTime, 4, talk@gmail.com. So let's get started. This episode, we titled it, after much back and forth, we titled it, What Makes Her Special? And so I love that question, because depending on the tone you use to ask it, that will lead the conversation. So you can either say something like, or ask it, what makes her special? And that puts a little attitude spin on it. You could also just, as part of your curiosity, ask someone, what makes her special? So we're going to talk about what makes her special. What is it about that specific woman? What is it about you that makes you special? So join us in our conversation. And so I'm going to start by introducing my friends, or actually they're going to introduce themselves to you. My name is Daisy, so I'll start there. And then whoever's next.
I'm Jeanette. Hi.
Hi, Jeanette.
I'm Regina. Hello.
Hi, Reg.
Hi, I'm Rosie, or Rosalind.
Hi, Rosie. So let's go with our first question. And it's a simple one, but it's one that takes a little thought as well. So my first one is, what makes a woman special? What do you think, ladies?
I think just the fact that she was created by God, different and unique, and not with the same chromosomes. She's completely different from any creation on earth, and that's what makes her special. But going deeper, I would say, because she has, women are emotional, they're caring, they're loving. There's just something about a woman that draws you in.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I that's
think
beautiful.
Yep. What makes a woman special is someone who is present, someone engaging and non-judgmental, someone that is kind-hearted and wise. And when I think of that question, I think these are the first things that come to my mind. Someone that's encouraging, someone that's accepting, and present in your life.
Yeah. Jeanette, any thoughts on what makes a woman special?
I would say she can bring home the bacon right up in a bag. Never let you forget. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not kidding.
No, you're not, but that's true.
No, you're not. It makes sense. Okay.
But no, everything you all said was beautiful. And I just want to add just that women, what makes them special, think about, we get to give life. We get to have children. We get to nurture and love and support our husbands, our families. We're strong in so many capacities, so many ways, and yet soft and You
Mhm.
know, like I love
Yeah,
that we're all of those things. We don't have to be like, oh, I gotta always be strong, or I can only be soft. You know, we can be all of that.
right,
And
right.
and then some, right? We're
Mhm.
multitaskers. That's what makes us special. We can do a lot at one time.
Uh-huh.
Well, for me, in addition to what you've all said, special for me is that the expectations of a woman are different than they are of a man. We are expected to be nurturing and caring and loving, but we're also expected to be strong and powerful and have
Mhm.
authority. And, you know, somewhat like what Jocelyn said, it's like we get to be all of it. You know, men have a more difficult time showing, manifesting the nurturing and the caring and the mushy part, but women can do that and get away with it. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to be anything but a woman, you know. So yeah, that's a special species, if I would say, that got created. Um, let's start talking about women who have impacted our own lives. When you think about women who have influenced you, who have had a special part in your life, who are those women? You know, what are some of the characteristics or the traits that they have carried that has really been a model for you?
I want to say that, Rosie had already mentioned it, but, someone that's not a woman that is strong and someone to look up to, but is not judgmental, one that is transparent, that you
Yes.
can see that they make mistakes and they're not perfect. And, they'll, when they're not perfect, they're open about it. They're like, you know what, oops, I made a mistake. But at the same time, they're the same way with you when you make a mistake or when you um, aren't all that you think you should be. They point the good out in you as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and I would say also, which you three ladies have been this to me and more, but like any special woman in my life accepts me for who I am, but encourages me to grow. And
mhm,
so, like, they're like, yeah, you're silly and you're goofy, and sometimes you're sensitive or you're this or whatever, but like, always loving me and accepting me for who I am and encouraging me to grow in areas where I may be like, oh, I'm struggling with this. All right, well, what can we do about it? So I love
yeah,
definitely that.
yeah,
I have to say that someone who, just like what Regina and Jeanette said, loving, accepting, you know, uh, that guides you, that leads you, that can show you, teach you. I think of those traits and just being able to build you up and point you in the right direction, but also when something's not right, that can gently and come to you and tell you, hey, I think this is, correct you in a constructive way, in a loving
yeah,
way, that, yeah.
yeah. That makes me think of, like, you know, as I was getting ready for this episode today, I'm thinking about women and just kind of going through the women who have influenced me and been models for me. But I also thought of women that I had a hard time with when I first
Mm.
met them, you know. And then it was like, okay, let me just stick with this for whatever reason, because that's not always the case when we first meet people. However, uh, those women came to mind and I so appreciate them. You know, can you think of someone who maybe when you first met them, they didn't instantly fall into the special category? But then as you know, as you grew in a relationship, they became very special for you. Is there a woman that you can think of?
Oh, absolutely. I there was one particular woman that I felt like I knew she was special, but I didn't think she would become that special person in my life.
For you.
And it's not that I didn't think she was special from the beginning, but I just didn't think that she would impact my life the way she did. But I thank God for her love, her kind heart, and her sweet spirit, because there was a lot of growth in my life because of her.
Okay. Okay. I know I met a woman, I was really young, and she was a couple of years younger. And I remember thinking, ew, there's no way that we could ever get along. We're going to have to encounter each other, in different situations and family environments and those things. But there is no way we are not simpático, if I could use that term. We're just not going to be friends. And my goodness, after more and more exposure to her, and then her own interest in me, like she would ask me questions that other people at that point in my life were not asking. They weren't deep. They weren't questions that drew out vulnerability in me, but she did. And it was like, how dare you? At the beginning, for me, it was, how dare you ask me that? How dare you? And then I remember a specific time where it was a family gathering. We just sat and she just talked and I talked, and I found myself opening up to this, I think I was 20 and she was 18, and we grew to be best friends for a very long time in our lives. So yeah, that was a woman for me that came up in this as a result of this question. Anyone else that you can think of? Jeanette, go ahead.
This may seem like a shocker, but honestly, 2 out of you 3 were women that at first I wasn't like thinking we were gonna have like, I definitely didn't think that you would become as special as you are to me. Want to guess who?
I know which one.
I know.
It's not me. It's not me, because the first
I know it's not Regina.
She was like, "Oh, we're gonna be friends forever," and I was
Listen,
like, "No,
the women that Jeanette's talking about, raise your hand.
It was, well, my goodness. Okay, so like with Rosie, when I met her, I was like, okay, wow, she seems like she fits in so good with the family and, with Jose's family and all of that. But I was a little like, And then there was, I think we talked about this one time. You kind of reminded me of somebody who had done something to hurt me in the past. And then that kind of was like, and then one day, I don't know if you remember this, we had a little breakthrough. I think it was in one of our trips, but we had this little breakthrough of, I confessed, like, I'm sorry, I feel like I've, anyway, yeah. and then Daisy, I thought, we're so different in so many areas. I don't know, like, could we be like great friends, and my goodness, wow, look, if anybody had told me, in the beginning, 21, 22 years ago, that we were going to be doing this and that we were going to be these lifelong best friends and all of that, I would have been like, wow, really? Okay. I got to see
So
it.
That's one of those situations where what makes her so special?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like we're going to click, So, yeah.
Well, I forced myself into Daisy's life, so she had no choice. Like, I just would show up because Rico would be like, let's come over for dinner. You can't be eating dinner alone. And I was like, okay. And I could tell in Daisy's face, she was like, hurricane change. Oh.
But here we are, right?
Yeah.
Here we are. And I know one of the lessons there I think for all of us, and those of you who have joined us for this episode, is give it a little time.
Mhm.
Give it a little time. You know, first impressions are not always the best. You know,
Right.
people are not always at their best. It's when you get to know them, you know, that the reality of how special they are comes through.
Yes.
You asked the question and we kind of got sidetracked because, you know, I had to put my 2 cents in, but I do have a friend that I met at a conference, and we had to share a room, right? And right when I walked in, like, she is a complete opposite of me. She's itsy bitsy. She's like super tiny, petite, muscly, you know, and she loved yoga. She got up early. Like, we had to share this room, and she would go to sleep like at 8 o'clock. And you know me at a conference, I'm like all over the place, butterflying all over, right? And then I'd get into the room at about 1, and then she's getting up at like 5 to go do yoga on the balcony or the patio or whatever. And so we just did not, like, I don't think we spent more than 5 minutes in the room talking. But then the pastor's wife that was there, she told me her story. She was like, her and her husband had been married for 30 years. He was a pastor. I'm not mentioning names, but he, you know, infidelity, and he left her. And so she's here really broken, you know?
Oh.
And so she's like, just pray for her, you know? So before we were leaving, we were packing up, and I was like, you know what, here's my number, just in case you need somebody to talk to, just in case, you know, you need someone. And she fell into my arms, literally. She fell into my arms, and she was like, please pray for me.
Oh,
So
wow.
I hugged her and I prayed for her, and she has been the biggest blessing in my life. And I know that the first year of our friendship, I was there to protect her. I was there because she was such a gentle spirit that her ex would abuse, like, he was abusive to her.
Oh,
And I would be like, you can't, no, not even just her husband, but her kids. And I was like, oh, no, you cannot let them treat you like that. Oh, no, God has me in your life to protect you. I am not here for him, I'm here for you. And so I started to teach her to, like, stand up for herself and not allow herself to be treated that way. And yes, God is protecting her, and she doesn't need to put up with that. And you should see I cannot believe how amazing her life has changed. Like, God has blessed her so much. Anyway, she's a big, beautiful part of my life. She loves my boys. My boys love her. Like, yeah, that's one that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a blessing that is to you, you know, as well, because you were there for a reason for her, but she was also there for a reason for you. And God, you know, God is the ultra multitasker. He takes care of everybody at the same time. You know, so that's awesome.
It goes to that saying, don't judge a book by its cover, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so those are women, you know, they're on your mind. Those are women who you've encountered, you've engaged with, you've had a relationship with. But let's talk a little bit about those women who have influenced us, modeled special behaviors for us, special thinking, who we've never met. I know I have several in my life. Let's talk about those women. Is there a woman or women, are there women out there that you can think of that have really impacted your life emotionally, your life spiritually, physically, who you've never gotten an opportunity to meet? And who are they?
Well, since everyone is quiet,
I
have to say, there's one woman in the Bible that I feel like if I could resemble her, I would love that. Deborah. Deborah is someone who was a fierce leader, you know, and just her wisdom and her courage and her faith and how she acted on whatever God spoke, she acted quickly. And then, she was not only a judge, but a prophet, a leader, a musician, a songwriter. So just her fierce leadership. If I could follow in those footsteps, that would.
Yeah.
You're better. Just kidding. You're just as special.
Yeah. And then, thank you. And then I think of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks.
She's on my list. Yeah.
She's on your list. Yeah. Because I was really thinking about all these women. And I thought, there was quite a few. And I said, but if there was one, and I kept going back to her, but if there was one that I could that I would desire to meet, which I've never met, right? And just sit and talk with her, it would be Rosa Parks. And I love her strength and her bravery to stand against, inequality and fight for justice. And there was a little caption I read that says, she was tired, but fierce, in her pursuit. And the one thing that I discovered about her, and I was like, why do I like her so much? What draws me to her? She was a devout Christian. I didn't know that. And it was her faith that gave her the strength to do what she did,
Yeah.
and she is one woman that that I look up to. And I could say she's an amazing, special woman.
Yeah. Good. Any others?
I have someone. I think
Go ahead.
there's one woman that is seriously underrated in the Bible. And I did a study on her a few years ago. And I know she's in the Bible for a reason. Maybe she was in the Bible just for me, but I feel like Job's wife is seriously underrated. Because this woman in those days, she, in order for a man to be successful, he had to have a Proverbs 31 woman. He wasn't the one feeding the homeless. And if he had a position at the gate, that meant that he had an honorable wife, right? And not only that, they had kids and they had homes and they had they had a great family. They had status and everything. And within a day, she lost everything. Everything. She lost her kids, the kids that she birthed. She lost her, her life, her home, her servants, people that she had, trained and loved, and all of a sudden she's taking care of her husband that is sick, What woman, what person that isn't transparent isn't going to say, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Just curse your God and go, I can't, because I can't imagine being in that spot and not doubting God, not doubting my husband, not doubting my life. What happened here,
Yeah.
And then even Job was like, that's not you. Why are you talking like that? That's not you. Why are you saying those things? You're gonna accept the good and not the bad from God, and God had, just with Job's friends, he corrected them, he gave them a good talking to, but he didn't to Job's wife.
Yeah.
But at the end, she stayed through. We know that she did because Job said, I love my wife. I've never cheated on her. Then he also said, my wife thinks my breath stinks, So she was there the whole time. She was there feeding him. She was there taking care of him, and his friends. And at the end, she was blessed just as much as he was. She was able to have 10 more kids, right? I mean, this lady must have been in her, I don't know how old she was, but I think she's very underrated because we look at that one point where she's at her worst and she's transparent. And
she just lost all her children. Come on.
Yeah, she's transparent and everybody thinks she's oh my God, you just said that. but God blesses her at the end, you know, even more, just because, you know, because Job's blessed. She's the one that had the babies, you know, like, so I really like, I want to be a loyal friend or person or husband or like a loyal wife. And I want to be known for my transparency, not necessarily for, you know, all the great things, but that I was transparent and, you know, blessed.
You are.
Jeanette, anybody come to mind for you?
I have a couple, and one of them is really probably going to sound unusual, but okay, so I was thinking Ruth, you know, that's not unusual. I was thinking Mary, of course, that's not unusual. But you know what I was thinking about, and I wonder if there is any Bible studies, if there are any Bible studies on her, devotionals or whatever. I'd love to, because I think it's literally just, she's only mentioned in that little part of the New Testament. But I always think about the woman with the issue of blood, the issue of blood, right? I always think about her because I think, my goodness, she went through so much. So I imagine her like going to whatever doctor she can find and suffering with this for how many years was it? 12 years?
12 years.
12 years. And she, you know, and then for her to have that faith, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I know that I can be saved. I know that I can be healed. And so like her faith, and just imagine like, okay, TMI, but I can't stand every once a month. I can't even imagine 12 years, you know.
That's desperate.
Oh my God, yeah, like I just think about her like, wow, she, and to, you know, and then like I picture her, like I'm a visual person, so like I picture her like trying to get through the crowd and pushing her way through. And then I always think about the people that were in the crowd. Like if I'm going to apply that to my life, I think about all those people being different obstacles in our lives and different things. And if we just push through and get through those obstacles, and if we could just touch the hem of his garment,
yeah,
we can be healed, we can be restored, we can be, you know, made new. And so I think about her a lot.
Yeah. Well, those are great examples of women who are special, who we have never met, right? Obviously, you know, biblically, any woman there we've never met. I know that I have several. You know, I've mentioned this before. I grew up Catholic, and I wanted to be a nun at one point in my life for a while. And so Mother Teresa was one for me, because I wanted to sacrifice my own needs for the sake of the children, the women and children who lived in dire need situations. And so for a long time, she was just someone I would read about everything that she was doing in India, and just how she grew up and the level of her faith. And I'd read her quotes and books and, you know, just everything that I could get my hands on. Jane Addams is another one who just influenced my career, again, because of her work with children and families in the inner cities. First woman, part of a group of women who first went to college in this country. You know, women were not allowed to go to college, but there was a special institution that taught higher ed to women, and she was part of that group. So there are a lot of them. In terms of the Bible, I think the woman that stands out for me is really, I guess, a composite, because I have a couple of them where I just couldn't make a distinction. And one of them is the woman at the well. Just to sit with Jesus alone, life is transformed just because I can have him. I can be in his presence by myself. You know, that that gets to be an ongoing thing, but she got to do that. I want to be that. Like, I want to sit at the well with Christ. So I'll name her specifically, but, you know, again, there are several other women in the Bible who, the one who dared to challenge Jesus and say, hey, I need healing. I know who you are. I need my daughter to be healed, delivered from the demonic forces in her life. Those are women who are like, I don't care. This is the Savior, and that same Savior who can heal the lame man, can deliver Mary Magdalene, can deliver my daughter, you know, and I love that attitude. So those women speak abundantly to my life. Are you special, ladies? When you know, when you think of all these women, are you in that category?
Heck yeah. You know,
Of course. Just kidding.
I try to be. I know I am to several people. I know I am to my family and my friends. But overall influence, if we can kind of keep in our mind that every day, everyone you meet is going through something, and give grace and compassion. And I think that if you treat people with respect, then you will be known as someone special.
Celine?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me that question maybe 10 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know, you know. But with, I guess, life and, you know, just what life teaches you, I do consider myself a special woman, and I hope that I am viewed as one. I know that there is a lot that I still have to learn, and I am just on this journey of life, trusting and believing God to fulfill His plan in my life. I know that, like Jeanette, I'm special to my family and to those close around me. But yeah, I could say now with confidence, you know, that I do consider myself a special woman. But ask me that a few years ago.
You are special. Reg?
Before I moved to Arizona, I just thought that, you know, I was like a stepchild, like, you know, I thought, oh, you're cute, but you know, you're all right. But after I lived away for a while, and I realized how much he loved me and his lavish love for me, it really helped me to realize that I'm his favorite. So, y'all, sorry, no, just kidding. But no, that how much he loves me, and his heart towards me, and so I just am really grateful to have that understanding, because there were so many years where I just didn't, you know, I didn't think that I was special. I had made too many mistakes. I had did too many wrong things, and I was given a little picture that said, with all of the beautiful mountains and oceans and the universe and the stars and the sun, isn't it amazing that God thought that the world needed you too? Yes. And so that every morning I look at that and I'm like, yeah, I'm special. Like, there's no one like me. No one.
Yeah. Yeah. I, you know, in Titus, in the letter to Titus, it talks about the older woman teaching the younger woman. And I think about that scripture, and that's where I am in my life. I'm in the legacy phase of my life. So every opportunity that I get to pour into younger women, I do that. I start with my own daughters. You know, I'm just so grateful that God gave me 2 daughters. So I get to do that just in raising them. But I also invite women, younger women, into my home. and we sit around and we talk. This isn't about Daisy being the teacher, Daisy being the leader. This is about, let's have conversation. And I'm going to speak from my experience and the lessons and the bumps and the bruises that I've gotten along the way. But yeah, I want to live that out. I want to live out the fact that I am supposed to teach younger women. So that puts me in a special category because my topic is Jesus. My topic is always God. So, and surrounded in the work of the Spirit. So yeah, I am special. And like Rosie, like if you had asked me that a while back, I was so insecure that no, I would have questioned and even denied it if somebody had said to me, "Oh, Daisy, you're so special." I would have denied it, you know. So thank you. I appreciate that. We're coming to the end of our time here together, but I wanted to make mention of Proverbs 31 because, you know, it is a profile of a very special woman. And I don't want us to get lost in the fact that some versions will qualify her as a wife. Proverbs 31:10 is talking about a woman specifically, a woman who is productive, a woman who is caring and nurturing, has authority, you know, all of those qualities that we have today identified as things that make women special. So I wanted to say about that, it can be a guide for us. You know, what it used to be for me a long time ago was a comparison, and I would always come up short. Like I really didn't like the Proverbs 31 woman. I didn't want to be reminded of all the stuff she did because all I thought was I failed here, I failed there, I failed there. But if we just continue in our relationship with Christ, we see ourselves as disciples of Jesus, where at some point in our lives, we're going to read Proverbs 31 and say, wait a minute. Yeah, that is me. Number 2, that's me. Number 3, that's me. And all of a sudden, at the end of it, it's like, yeah, I'm as special as the Proverbs 31 woman. And so let's just live out our lives, a continued journey of discipleship and growth, which we have mentioned, because we're not done. You know, we're not a finished product. God's work is finished. We're the ones who have to continue to operate and journey through that relationship and that discipleship. So anyone out there who doubts that they can get there, just live your life with Christ and allow the Holy Spirit to change and transform along the way. And you're going to be special as well to yourself because you're already special to us. Thank you for joining us, ladies. I want to give a shout out to the younger women, the next generation. We're here for you. We love you. We will teach. Ask us questions whenever you see us on our email. If you like, ask us a question. We're here to serve you. The women who have come before us, we're grateful to God for having put them in our lives as mothers and aunts and, you know, whatever else they've been to us. So we love you as well. Take care. Everybody say bye.
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 Bye-bye.